Welcome, ladies. We're so excited about tonight's program. Normally in February, the club would honor our past presidents at a past president's luncheon in their honor, but the clubhouse is closed. However, a dozen or so of our illustrious past presidents have stepped forward to review for you the highlights of their terms, and we're so pleased to have them. First, a few remarks about the club. We've had 2 successful blood drives with Vitalent, and we're planning a 3rd one on Wednesday, April 7th, thanks to the coordinating efforts of Nancy Frazier. Lynn Grosser has overseen the successful repair of our beautiful French folding glass doors that separate the fireside room from the ballroom. Also, new festive lights have been installed over the windows of our fireside room, thanks to Lynn King. Coming soon, notice of our non-event crab fundraiser, chaired by Esther Shao and Terry Ann McGowan. So watch for that. And next week, we will have our regular Thursday night event. Susan Price, our organizing guru, will showcase her presentation. Don't agonize, organize. Ladies, nominations are now open for the board positions. We're especially seeking a person to fill the accounts payable treasurer position. So get your nomination to me or another board member. Elections are in April. And as many will attest, serving on the board is a very rewarding experience. And now on to our program. We will proceed chronologically, beginning with the very first president of our evening club, Colleen Mahoney. Take it away, Colleen.
Okay, everybody. So I'm going to ask Lynn Ann to pull up the one of 2 photographs I sent her, which is a reminder of my history with the club and my sister Carrie's. And I think you all may recognize and know Connie Mahoney, also known as Connie Bell, when she joined the club. My mom joined the Petaluma Women's Club when she was in 1962. So I thought you guys should get a perspective of Carrie's history and my history with the organization and our perspective. And I don't know if Lynn Ann has been able to share that or not yet.
I think I have the other one up instead of the, I have the 2 girls up right now.
Right. So that's Carrie Mahoney and Colleen Mahoney when our mom became president of the Petaluma Women's Club, which would have been 1962 and 1963. So just to show what a legacy our organization is and how influential it can be to young women in our community over time. And of course, the person I most need to recognize tonight would be our mom. Sorry, I'll get a little teary here, but you can all appreciate why. So Mom was a member of the Petaluma Women's Club for over 60 years, and it meant everything to her. She loved the club, she loved the clubhouse, she loved the board meetings, she loved presiding, she loved being parliamentarian. You know, she was a person who always wanted to lead, but with collaboration. And what a force she was and an influence on me in particular. So with that in mind, Mom started looking around the club in 1997 or so and thought, man, there's a lot of gray hair in this group. And she started as a forward-thinking planner. She looked around and she thought, this organization needs to change. And we need to add some youth and some more dynamic to the organization, and in her leadership role as a parliamentarian, I believe at the time, she reached out to the then board of the Petaluma Women's Club and projected her idea and her legacy to the group and said, we really need to enliven this club. And so Mom tapped me on the shoulder to organize a new youthful women's club at the time. And what an extraordinary opportunity that was. And with it, an extraordinary responsibility. And, you know, it is so rewarding to me to see the women who are still involved with this club, who have helped all of these years. And we're going to hear from Joy Dobson-Way in just a moment, who was instrumental in those early years, and Esther Shao and Debbie Payne. It couldn't have been done without you. And yeah, I got a tear in my eye saying that. And to members who are now deceased, which I also want to take a moment to respect and to thank. And that would have been Liz Myers and Cynthia Stanton and Karen Camilleri. But I can tell you, we had fun. We had more meetings than this board could ever dream imaginable. We needed to come up with parallel bylaws that the senior club would accept. We needed to look into the future to today, I think, which we did successfully. And we grew the club to over 100 members. And that was, when we celebrated the 100th anniversary of the club. And it was nothing but fun. I mean, of course we worked hard. And, Esther, your job on those new bylaws were a work of genius. And Louise Benanti, oh, Louise, you were the liaison between our new crazy group of young gals and the older group who were very, very attached to the club and didn't necessarily want to see change, but were willing to accept it. And your engagement and work was just so critical to us and made us all so happy. So I just want to reflect on the fact that the club has now celebrated its 125th year, going on 126. And that's just an amazing accomplishment. I hope everyone here pats themselves on the back for being involved, for being leaders, for being visionary, to continuing to improve and to maintain the club. And Lynanne, if you could put a picture of my mom back up, just to applaud the extraordinary women and how much this club meant to them in every event, every luncheon, every dinner dance, every fundraiser that this club's had. And with that, I'll turn it over, and I'm exceptionally happy that Joy is able to join the group tonight, and look forward to hearing everyone's story.
Thank you so much, Colleen. That was very moving. But I would like to correct one thing. We haven't had a chance to celebrate our 125th yet. It's still to come. And with that, I'll turn the mic over to Joy. Joy served as president from 98 to 99.
Yes.
It is.
I'm trying to find myself on these little.
I understand.
Okay, I can see everybody. I can see myself. Yes, I'm Joy Dobson-Way, and I recently had a call from somebody with the surname of Hazy.
Yeah, Susan Hazy, our
Susan.
court.
I thought it was Susan, but I was going through the book to get it right, but I couldn't find her at all. Anyway, we had a great conversation. She was doing something that I've promoted in a club that I am in right now, which is to call people while we're disconnected and we just see each other on Zoom or talk on the phone, but to call people. I mean, we had a great conversation and she kind of caught me up on a lot of things. I got involved with the Petaluma Women's Club. I was the chief nursing executive at Petaluma Valley Hospital. And in the course of that, I became friends with a gal named Andre Wood, who already knew Connie Mahoney. And I attended an AAUW. I joined AAUW, and of course I I sat next to Connie at a meeting, and the rest is history. I mean, I knew right off I was going to be a member of the Petaluma Women's Club, and it was a joyful thing. We just hit it off. We had at that point a large age difference. I mean, she had daughters younger than me, but we just loved each other. We were just so interested in what all she'd done in her life and what I had done so far in my life. So we became great friends. She wrangled me into being a charter member. I thought I was too busy, but that didn't cut it with Connie. So I became a charter member in 1995 of the Women's Club. And I am still a member. I am a way member or associate member, something Connie came up with because I moved. And I said, well, you know, I can't really be a member. She said, oh, yes, you can. And I said, well, no, I can't, because she created through the
absentee.
Absentee. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds a little confused or something. But anyway,
That's what it says.
it raised the issue. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It raised the issue of how people do stay connected even if they don't live in the area. I have attended a few meetings over the years. I remember one with Debbie Daunt, and that was nice. I thought I'd get to more, but Ashland, Oregon is a long way away. And over the past several years, my husband, Tony Way, has been ill, and he did die on September 5th, peacefully, gently at home with me at his side. So that was how he wanted it. So I'm getting reconnoitered into a new life. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out, but I'll let you know. I left Petaluma in 2001 when he was transferred and promoted to a position in the California Department of Health. Stayed there for 5 years, traveled for a year, and then went to Ashland, Oregon, where I've been for almost 20 years. I must have a sort of a 20-year cycle. Everyone keeps asking me if I'm moving back to Petaluma. I don't know. It will be revealed to me. So I don't know. I'm kind of right here.
So Joy, what were some of your accomplishments while you were president?
Well, you know, thank you for asking me. I don't remember.
Okay.
It was, 20 years ago. And I remember I ran a tight ship in terms of the meetings and the agenda, and I'm sure everyone else did as well as we went on, but there was a lot going on, and I don't think it sounds like that's not changed, but I don't know, maybe Colleen remembers some accomplishment that I had, but I don't remember. We had a very good board, and of course everyone was ready to jump in and do whatever needed to be done.
Well, we'd love to embrace you with all of our open arms when you can and when we open again.
Yeah, well, the final thing I'll say is we announced our engagement at the Petaluma People's Center, the Petaluma Women's Club. So that was a wonderful evening. And if we have a celebration for life for my husband after this COVID is gone, we will probably have it in Petaluma at the Petaluma Women's Club, because that's where
Lovely.
his connections were after practicing medicine here for 23 years.
Lovely.
Very good. Thank you so much, Joy, for sharing. It's wonderful to see you, and we're sorry for your loss, but
Thank you.
sounds like you're on upward hill now. So anyway, our next president that we're going to hear from, Carrie Davidson, who served in 2001 and 2002. Carrie?
She needs
Carrie is Colleen's sister, of course.
I was trying to unmute myself. I guess I did it. I just want to say how nice it is to see Joy, and I hope you move back to Petaluma. So Mom and I visited Joy and Tony up in Ashland. I don't know how many years ago it was, 6 or 8 years ago. So I was just a member like everyone else, and someone came to me in early 2000 and asked me to be on the board. And
Uh-oh.
muted? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, now we can. We
Yes.
did in first,
Okay.
and then you went off. But go
Okay.
ahead. You
So
were asked to be
So
on
I
the
was
board.
asked to be on the board. I was not on the board, and I was asked to be first vice president, which for all of you that have been first vice, most of you, that's kind of a big task to jump into when you haven't even been a board member. But the club was starting to struggle a little bit. All the enthusiasm with the 100 members at the beginning, started falling by the wayside a bit. After Joy, then it was Janie Walker and Gina Pittler, and then myself, we started losing membership, and they couldn't get anybody to step forward to first VP. So I took it on. I was working full time, and my boys were 10 and 11 at the time, but I agreed because the nominating committee was really struggling. And so I stepped in with my, many of you remember, my secret weapon, Sandy Bowler, and she followed me as president. She's no longer in the club, but we had a lot of fun. Like Colleen said, we had some great events. Along with Allison Reichart and some others, we hosted a couples Oktoberfest event in our barn in Pengrove, and subsequently gained a number of Pengrove members, which we needed, one of which was Margaret Stacy, another past president. And due to the popular demand, I think it was from the first year with Colleen's year, we had a second medieval dinner that was also a big hit. During my year, Karen Camilleri, who, for those of you that remember her, I mean, she was a really very, very special person, and she was diagnosed with cancer. I think she was, I'm going to say probably in her late 40s, maybe early 50s. And so one thing that the club did my year was Karen was very, very ill for several months, and then she passed. But we had a food, what do you call it? A food train?
Yeah.
Anyway, people signed up, and Tony Camilleri, her husband, was so incredibly grateful. And we had people bringing meals every other night for several months to Karen's house. And he was in tears thanking the club at her memorial service. He said he just doesn't know what he would have done without us. So that was one thing that happened during my year. The other thing is Sandy and I were kind of on a roll to raise some money. And we started it in my year and a little before that. And then with Sandy's year, the following year, we had $10,000 saved, and we started our endowment at the Santa Rosa Junior College Petaluma campus, which is, of course, still active today. And we give a scholarship every year to a Petaluma woman who goes to the Petaluma campus and is re-entering college to hone up on her skills. And one of the fundraisers we had to raise that money was, if you guys remember, the Mommies, who were a comedy act that, you know, local Petaluma women that were just hilarious. Anyway, that did very, very well financially, and that enabled us to go over the top with our $10,000 endowment. And I'm not exactly sure the balance today, but I think we were in somewhere around 13 to 15,000 on that endowment, and it can be added to. Lastly, some of my fondest memories of my year were just simply our board meetings. We met in each other's homes. We had wonderful hors d'oeuvres and wine, and kept the meetings as brief as possible. Of course, it was a smaller group then too. I think there were only about 8 of us, but one of my highlight, I guess, for the few years that I was on the board was we'd have our December meetings at Julie Mastrup's house, and we would insist upon her famous stuffed mushrooms and Cosmos. And that was a lot of fun. Anyway, I really appreciate my years on the board, and I thank all of you that have done so much before and since. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Very good, very good. Louise served from 2003 to 2004. Take it away, Louise.
I'm a charter member, joined in 1995. In fact, I have a lovely picture of the whole group of charter members, remember, standing on the front stairs and having our picture taken. Okay, there's still some of us around.
Yes.
Me included. I was president of the evening group from 2003 to 2004. I can't really remember what I did, but I must have loved it so much that I became president of the lunch group, the day group, in 2006, 2007.